All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Football Podcast. And not just another episode, episode number 100. Yeah, the crowd loves it. The crowd loves it. The fans love it. Armin loves it. Zach loves it. I love it. Okay, episode 100. I said last episode, it's kind of hard to believe. I went back and listened to episode number 1 just for okay, where are we at now? And what have we accomplished over 100 episodes? And man, what a difference. Obviously we talked about that first little bit was a feeling out process, trying to figure it out. More or less was kind of just us talking about, fantasy football stats, throwing out some, and it was off-season stuff too, so it wasn't really in the nitty-gritty. But then we started doing our game show stuff, Fast and Furious, right off the hop. And man, it's been a fun ride. But episode 100, we got a couple fun things in store here. We're gonna do our normal stuff, our normal quick question, our normal, I added this, a little added that, etc., etc. Then we have a fun game show, a little throwback to our very first ever game show we did on the podcast, which was episode number 3. And for those of you that haven't been with us full time, you'd think, hey, Zach didn't start with the podcast with us, but joined on very quickly. You'd think he was our very first guest. But if you go back to episode number 3, Dwayne Garrow was actually our very first guest, and we did that one on I remember it a holiday, because I remember sitting down here drinking coffee, and it was like a morning episode, if I remember correctly, about having coffee, doing that recording one. And we did our very first go at Guess Who, and then Zach was our secondary guest. He came on for not Free Agent Frenzy, for Rookie Preview episode 1, Rookie Preview episode number 2, and then was full time. We did the interview with Super Bowl champion Witherspoon, episode 8, and then episode 9 we did the first game show with Zach when we had the NC Squared pod on with us. We did Fantasy Feud, and that's kind of where our first, I guess, 9 episodes went, and a little bit of prehistory, I guess, of our podcast. But we'll get things going here. But Armin, big W on the weekend. Boys are still going. I think you guys got the crosstown rivalry coming up this week as well.
Yeah, we pulled it out, won when it mattered most, and made it to the playoffs, to the dance. And we're playing Carleton on Thursday night. If you're listening to this before the game, the papers have it wrong. They say Friday night. It is Thursday night at 6:30 at PMP. All right, people. So come out, watch some good high school football, the crosstown rivals in PA going at each other in the playoffs. Hopefully we can close that gap and make it a good, close game, and hopefully pull out a W if all things go right.
Absolutely. And Zach, you guys are you guys are in tier 2 playoffs coming up this week as well.
We will be in tier 2 in 2 weeks. This last game is our regular season finale. So
this is, but you guys are already solidified as the 2 seed, right, in tier 2?
No, well, I guess sure you can say that. This year with the Rural North League, there's only 2 teams. The 5 seed from 5A and the 5 seed from 6A.
Okay.
So it's not like a playoff like it used to be when you and I were at St. Mary.
Yeah, a little bit different, I guess, with everything changing up this year. Okay, I guess, let's get things going. My weekend was, I don't know, pretty chill. Watched some football, and that was pretty much it. Cleaned the garage. Made a terrible bet with Zach on SC versus Notre Dame, but we'll just skip past that one and continue on our merry way here. One thing I forgot to mention during this episode, we are going to have a little catchphrase, and I'll even give a little disclaimer right before I do it, but I'll have a catchphrase that we're going to say. And if you listen to this episode and you jump on our socials and you're the first person to comment it on our socials, we have a 22 fresh care package for you, a little special prize for our 100th episode. So with that package, we have I just got to finish putting it all together. But we have hoodies, we have sweats, we have hats, and we have t-shirts, and I'm going to put a little package of a variety of some of these things all together. And first person to comment that little catchphrase that will get dropped at some random point later on in this episode will be our winner. So for those of you listening, especially our loyal listeners, chance to win some good prizes not only from us, but also our major sponsor of the year, 2 years running, 22 Fresh as well. So we'll get things going here. We got our 22 Fresh quick question of the week, and we are entering into week number 7 now. We're recording here Monday nights just because of a little bit of a longer episode and give some time to get everything out and published and whatnot. But watching the Monday nighter here, so some things may change maybe based on this one. But our question here is, through 6 weeks, who is currently a player that is looking like the value player of the year? Maybe this is a player that was undrafted or later draft pick, back end of your rounds, but one of those dart throw type players. But right now are bringing in a lot of fantasy points. And Zach, let's start with your value player here.
Yeah, you bet. My choice for the value player was Puca Nacua. This was somebody that was likely going undrafted in a lot of leagues, and if he was drafted, I just had it here. I think he was like wide receiver 86 on Fantasy Pros, something way down the way. Oh, pardon me. He was wide receiver 90, player 280. So most likely not drafted in most 10 or 12 team leagues. Maybe somebody had some good insight and picked them up at the end of their draft, but for the most part likely went undrafted. And on the season, he has been nothing short of fantastic, coming in at wide receiver 7 in half-point PPR leagues, averaging just over 16 points per game.
I'm gonna put a feather in my cap on this one. I was helping a buddy draft. He was in our charity league, and I wasn't in the charity league. So he's like, "Hey, I need some help drafting." So we got together, had a beer, and did the draft together. And I was trying to be real sneaky and telling him, take Van Jefferson with your last pick, or like second to last pick. But by that point, some of the hype was going a little bit, that obviously Cup was going to miss time, and he went, I think, the third last round. And we're getting to the nitty gritty, and there was like not a lot happening. And I said to him, with your last pick, take Puca Nacua. I think he had the second last pick of the entire draft in a 16-team league. So I mean, like, what a difference maker that is for, especially our charity league. It's a 16-team league where like depth is incredibly hard to find, especially like studs. So to be able to add a guy like that, a massive difference maker at the end of your draft is a huge improvement to your roster. But Armin, let's hit yours here, because this one, even though a bit of an injury to end the game here in week 6, so might be having a pivot here as we enter week 7, but your guy has been a stud throughout this the fantasy season so far.
Yeah, so far, Kren Williams has been the workhorse back in the Rams offense, and it's great to see another great Rams running back putting up great fantasy points so far in the season. He is RB number 4 in half-point PPR. He's averaging 17.43 points per game. And he's looking overall awesome. He's getting workhorse opportunities. He's getting lots of touches. He's being efficient with his touches for the most part. And he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield as well. And he's been a godsend. I know I was able to actually pick him up in a dynasty league just off the waiver wire in the first week, and I was pretty pumped about that. And he went pretty well undrafted, I would say. I wasn't in any drafts where he was drafted, and he was a waiver wire guy because everyone was thinking Cam Akers would be the guy in that offense if there was to be a running back to target, and turned out nope.
Hey, I think they'd be pretty happy to have Cam Akers right now, especially with possibly missing Kren Williams for some time. But yeah, he's been an excellent ad. My guy's kind of a similar theme. It was either undrafted or was a late round draft pick. He was the wide receiver in half-point PPR. He was the wide receiver 53, and he was 138th overall. So very much a back end guy, if not undrafted. And he is currently the number 4 wide receiver on the season, and he is the number 20th overall player. So that's including Qs, that's including RBs, that's including everybody. And this guy was left for dead, and I mean, the math made sense. He's 33 years old, joining a new team with a brand new quarterback, rookie quarterback as well. So, I mean, the math didn't really math. And in week 1, he put up 2.2 fantasy points. So even if he was drafted, he was very likely to be dropped. But since he's put up 16.9, 26, 11.7, 22.2, and 23 fantasy points, has got 4 touchdowns on the season and has looked very, very good. And that's Adam Thielen. His career has been spectacular. He had a lot of success in Minnesota, but he is currently having a ton of success right now in Carolina. And if you were same as any of the guys we've mentioned so far of these 3 names, if you were lucky enough to have them on your roster or pick them up through free agency or what have you, I'd be hard pressed to see that your team is not doing very, very well this season, because those late round dart throw type players, that those make the big difference, because everybody has studs. Everybody has the studs. Everybody has the really good top players. But when you hit those late round picks, those set you apart from the rest. So a little fun to start the pod here, but we'll get into some of the the not so great stuff. We got some injuries to talk about this week, some that we know definitive that we know what to expect moving forward, and some that are still up in the air because we are recording the Monday. We're still kind of waiting for a little bit of the news, but we'll get into it.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
So it seemed like, I don't know if I'm just feeling this way, or if everybody's feeling this way from fantasy perspective, but watching this football week was frustrating, because it seemed like lots of players were getting hurt and then would leave and then come back. Some got hurt quick and then didn't come back. Like Tyreek, I think he went to the locker room 2 or 3 times, kind of kept saying, okay, is he actually hurt? No, he was, doing cramps or winded. Or then there's Debo, who got, knocked out quick. There was Montgomery that got knocked out quick. So we're going to have some, some work to do here. CMC, he injured his oblique. So his timeline, they're doing some MRIs to figure out what his situation is. Now, does he miss 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? No time. We're going to have to wait and find that one out. So, like, CMC's having an unbelievable season. The only thing that was going to put it to a halt was an injury. So we're going to figure that one out. Continue on San Francisco. Debo had the shoulder injury I mentioned. He got knocked out early, and they expected, the original reports was that it was going to be pretty serious, didn't look good. Now the reports have come out that it's not as serious as they thought, and they're considering him day to day. I would not expect him to play this upcoming week, but that being said, how much time does he miss? Still, once again, we're still trying to figure it out. Another one, Damian Harris, the injury last night, the Sunday nighter. That was a very scary injury, but now they've announced that they're going to be bringing in Fournette, Zach's boy Fournette. He's coming in for a visit for the Bills. And I do know that if that is a signing that happens, that is going to be a very popular waiver wire addition this upcoming waiver wire period. So that'll be one to watch out for. David Montgomery from the Lions exited pretty early as well with a rib injury. That's something that he had missed time with in Chicago for a couple seasons, was rib injuries. They're already saying they're expecting him to miss the Sunday, which if you looked at the Lions depth chart for running back, it's not great right now. It's like injury. It was David Montgomery and then Craig Reynolds. So Craig Reynolds and then end of list, like every single one of the running backs, including their depth chart / like second team running backs, are all injured. So Craig Reynolds will also be a pretty popular name come waiver wire time. If not anybody else that they maybe pick up, or a veteran body, or I guess maybe if Gibbs is healthy and ready to go this upcoming week, then you'll be all systems go for Gibbs, I'd imagine. Justin Fields expected to miss some time with a dislocated thumb. They're saying it's all going to come down to his grip on the ball, because it is his throwing thumb. So that's less than ideal. Trevor Lawrence suffers a knee injury at the end of the game. We don't know much for that, but he did miss the last minute and a half of that game. And then Kren Williams suffered an ankle injury, still up in the air on that one too. So lots of injuries to go through. Unfortunately, because we are recording a little bit earlier on the Monday again here, we don't have definitive answers for a lot of this, but I'll try and get up on the socials and keep you up to date as much as possible throughout the week. But we'll get into studs and duds here, and then we'll get ourselves into week 7. So studs and duds, I'll fire this one up first. And I got to stay on the Detroit Lions train because my boys are currently tied for the number one team in the NFL. And I don't know if I've ever been able to say that in my entire life. So I'm going to proudly mention that right now. That game started off slow. It wasn't the most entertaining first half, but the second half they really poured it on. And that was very much to the success of Amon St. Brown. He had 15 targets, which is absolutely insane. 12 receptions, 124 yards, and one touchdown that should not have been a touchdown. Like, he got hit on a slant. I think it was 35 yards out, and there was 4 or 5 defenders that were rallying around him. He bubbled out and somehow scored on this quick hitter, and it was hard to believe he actually scored. But he had a very, very good game for 24.2 fantasy points. And the Detroit Lions are 5-1 and tied for number one in the NFL. So LFG, let's go. Let's go. Detroit Lion time, baby. Zach, yeah, I kind of figured you're putting this one in the docket. This was an unbelievable start call last week, and I got to give a little shout out to us. All three of our starts of the week were all three very, very good this week here. So, Zach, your stud of the week. Let's hear it.
You bet. My stud was none other than Raheem Mostert, running back for the Miami Dolphins. 32.7 half-point PPR points. Good for running back number one on the week. When it's just him in that backfield, it is a fantastic start. Without A-Chain, it's his backfield, and he showed that he is more than capable of carrying the load. Nearly had a season high in rushing attempts with 17, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, as well as 3 receptions for 17 yards and a score through the air. So when that offense is clicking like it is, Raheem Mostert is an easy person to have in your lineup.
Yeah, he just, whenever he had the ball, it was like, he's going to score. And it was interesting to see because they were down 14 rip quick. And I was like, oh boy, because I picked Miami to be my survivor pick for the week for my one fantasy league. And I was like, this is not good. And so I thought, okay, they're going to air the ball out more. Maybe Mostert's going to get phased out, maybe get some screen work, but it might be more of a Waddle and Tyreek game. And Waddle got the first touchdown of the game. And then Mostert kind of started tearing it up. I think he got the next one. I think Hill got the one after that. I think it was Mostert again. And he had quite the week. Sorry, Armin, I didn't see your start of the week, and I started hyping him up, I guess, mid talk about Zach's, but let's hear yours.
Yeah, my stud of the week is Tyreek Hill, and he got 26.3 fantasy points and half-point PPR, 6 receptions for 163 yards and 1 touchdown. Dependable, efficient, just explosive. And everything he does, it's pretty wild how explosive Tyreek Hill is in that offense as well. Like, that Miami offense can just score from anywhere on the field at any time, which is terrifying for defenses.
Now then, not so good stuff. Speaking of not so good stuff, I was just watching the Monday Nighter here, and I don't know what happened, if he muffed a punt or what, but Chargers is getting the ball back here with not a lot of time left in the fourth. My dud is, unfortunately, I think this is the first time we can say this all season. Zach talked about him, how he's been a shining star to start the year, but this past week was not so great, and he had 4.6 fantasy points. That was Puca Nacua. This is the worst performance so far in his very short career, but he had 7 targets, which is good, especially in that offense. It wasn't the most entertaining football game to start. Very, very slow, but then it started picking it up. But unfortunately, Kupp was the benefactor of that. He had 7 targets, 4 receptions, and only 26 yards for 4.6 fantasy points. So not the best week for him, but definitely not something I would be overly concerned about moving forward. I still think it's all systems go for Puca Nacua. Zach, this one I am a little bit concerned about, about him moving forward. I know he is hampering an injury right now, but he is being definitely outplayed by their number 2 wide receiver, who I know we've talked about a little bit off the pod. But this one that you're about to share, I am a little bit concerned about.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Just like you said, Puka was somebody that you're not worried about. Yeah, like you said, Devontae Adams is somebody that I am concerned about as somebody that has him in a few leagues. Adams had a season low in receptions this week with two receptions for 29 yards and no scores. And really, on one of those receptions, it was 21 yards. So, make that more of like a normal reception for like 10 or 12. It's really cutting that total down to less than 20. And I don't know if you and I share the same concerns. My concerns isn't so much about Jacoby Myers or even necessarily the injury that he has, but it's the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. He left that game yesterday afternoon with a back injury. And as of this afternoon, he was still under observation. So it seems like to me, if Garoppolo misses any length of time, you're looking at Brian Hoyer or maybe possibly Aiden O'Connell, the rookie from Purdue, ? I'm not too sure. So, Garoppolo isn't going to set the world on fire, but he's a heck of a lot better than either of those two guys. And at this point in the season, I don't think you're finding anybody better than Garoppolo as a free agent. So it might be a down back 2/3 of the season here for Adams.
First of all, you were correct with the Purdue call for Aiden O'Connell, so good for you because not a lot of people will be able to say that. And he also has already started this season in week 4, and he put up 2.32 fantasy points against the Chargers, who are the number 1 team to throw the ball against. He had 24 completions on 39 attempts, 238, 1 interception, and 1 tutty for 2.32. So, I mean, that stat line is 0 tutties, 1 interception. So not a great showing in his rookie game against the worst passing defense in the NFL. So not a lot of confidence there moving forward. Armin, your dud of the week.
Yeah, my dud of the week was actually my sit of the week, so I had to toot my own horn a little bit here.
Yes, sir.
And that was Dameon Pierce. He put up only 3.4 fantasy points, 13 carries for 34 yards, nothing in the passing game to speak of. Yeah, I'm kind of like with Devontae Adams. I'm a little concerned about Dameon Pierce. He was supposed to be a workhorse back. A lot of people were drafting him as one of their primary go-to start every week backs, and he's kind of had a few rough weeks here. So hopefully you can turn it around, but I am a little concerned about him. Not as much as Devontae Adams, so I share your guys' sentiment with Devontae there. I'm really concerned about him.
I got him in Dynasty if you want to buy him, Armand. Real cheap.
I'm trying to sell him in a different league.
Oh, we'll do a swap. 1 league swap. Okay, moving forward here. We are moving away from week 6. Still kind of curious on how this Monday nighter goes down. But we'll wrap up week 6 on the podcast here with the Packers and the Steelers coming back off the bye week. And we enter one of our bipocalypse. One of our biggest bye weeks of the season is week 7 here. We have the Carolina Panthers, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys, the Houston Texans, the New York Jets, and the Tennessee Titans all going on bye week. So it's a big bye week. This one, I know, let's look at some of our starts of the week here. Some of them are a bit of a grasp, but I mean, you're going to be in that situation come this week because listing some of those teams, not only is there studs that aren't playing, but there's also some players that are on the depth charts that you have in the back end of your bench that's like, okay, pull pin in emergency, and this week very well could be that pull pin emergency week. So we'll get into our starts, but before we do that, last week I just got to mention this out, like our Raheem Mostert, Jordan Addison, Drake London were all 3 of our starts of the week, and they all 3 smashed. And even like our sits of the week were all pretty good too. So Michael Pittman had himself a pretty good game. That all happened pretty late in some garbage time there. So I mean, that's kind of like an unfortunate one where for the most part he didn't do a whole lot that game until the very end. But yeah, we Damian Pierce, Jerome Ford, all good calls on the sits. So we'll fire it up here and we'll try and go 6 for 6 because so far we've gone 5 for 6. But Zach, we'll start things off with your start of the week.
Alrighty, so I am thinking of starting DeAndre Swift against the Miami Dolphins. This one might be something that comes and bites me in the butt. But I'm just thinking this game is going to be a high scoring affair with the Dolphins. And I'm thinking with both Smith and Brown, the Dolphins might look to take them away and make the Eagles, move the ball more so on the ground or use their secondary weapons. And to me, DeAndre Swift is that perfect secondary weapon. So if it's not Swift getting some of those checkdowns or alternate throws, then it's going to be Dallas Goedert in that offense. So if you're not already starting Swift, this is a week that you definitely want to start Swift.
What I'll say with that too, Zach, and support for you is you got to think with how explosive Miami's offense is that Philly's going to want a lot of ball control in this game too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you don't want to put the ball in the all-team track offense there. But Armand, your start of the week.
My start of the week is a guy who's been kind of struggling this week, but he is starting to look a little bit more like the Javonte Williams we all know and love. And he's got a good matchup against Green Bay. So we're looking for Javonte Williams to finally have a bit of a breakout here. I tried it earlier this year, a few weeks ago on the pod, and then he ended up getting injured in that game. So hopefully I'm not bad omens for him and causing another injury, knock on wood. Yeah, I'm looking for Javonte Williams to finally have a good matchup here and be the only bright spot in a terrible Broncos offense.
Okay, when I said some of these are ugly, I meant more or less like mine's real ugly because like this one is gutsy, but it's trending in the right direction. So I'm in a spot where I'm missing a lot of my wide receivers this upcoming week. And a guy that is on lots of people's waiver wires, not everybody's, but lots of waiver wires, if not definitely deep on the benches, is Rashee Rice, rookie wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs. And looking at his stat line, he's a guy that's week 1 against the Lions, he had a touchdown, which definitely bolstered his stat line because he had 5 targets, 3 receptions, 29 yards. But the last 2 weeks, he got 13.3 fantasy points. And then this past week against Denver, 11.2 fantasy points. The targets are hanging around that 5, 6. He's got a 7 in week 3. But right now we're seeing a nicked up Travis Kelce, still coming back off his injury, and he had a high ankle sprain in that game. So we're looking at a situation where Travis Kelce isn't going to be as explosive as we've seen, maybe more of a red zone type guy. And Rashee Rice is slowly gaining more of the confidence of Mahomes. His targets are starting to go up. Last week, he didn't have a touchdown, or this past week, week 6, he even have a touchdown, 4 receptions for 72 yards for 11.2 fantasy points. And for a guy that is either waiver wire or pretty low on the depth chart there, he's a guy that you can plug and play if you're missing quite a few of your wide receivers. So going into the sits, Zach, let's go right back around the horn.
So this sit has nothing to do with what he's done, and that is DJ Moore, who over the past few weeks has been a absolute stud, and I think single-handedly won a lot of people weeks last week. But with DJ Moore, with his quarterback, with Justin Fields looking like he's going to miss this week's game for sure, I don't have much confidence in the backup in Chicago. And for as nifty as it was for me to pull out that Aiden O'Connell stat about Purdue, I have no idea where the heck they found the backup in Chicago, let alone who he is. So I would not be excited to start any skill players for the Bears offense.
I'm just trying to think of who I had to look it up. It's Tyson Bagent. And then
Say
Nathan
less.
Peterman. Nathan Peterman, he's been around the league. He's a journeyman.
Yeah, I knew it was the like I knew it was something obscure, and it was that first guy that got game time yesterday, I think.
Yeah, because Peterman played for Pitt, right? Like he's actually kind of like a common name.
Yeah, he's played or started games off and on the past couple of years.
Okay, well, if you didn't know, sorry, go ahead, Armin.
I was gonna say, and to take a little bit of a dig at Justin Fields here, that what everybody jokes about, the Chicago Bears are gonna actually have a quarterback playing quarterback this week instead of a running back.
Hey-o. If you didn't know who Tyson Bagent, if you're pronouncing that right, I don't even know. If you didn't know who that was, you also probably don't know where his university was because he played for Shepherd. So not too sure who he is, not too sure who the college is. I don't blame you one bit on that one, Zach. So I won't fault you for that one. Before we go to Armin's here, I just want to mention too about my Rashee Rice take. They're also playing the Chargers, who I previously mentioned are the worst passing defense in the NFL too. So I'm just going to mention that one out there for us to say that. But Armin, your sit of the week here. This is a juicy one. This is a juicy. I'm not going to lie to you.
You know, I'm always looking for that juicy sit of the week. You know, it's no fun just giving you a guy that's a fringe startable player to say sit. I gotta go for starters. I'm out for blood here, and I'm saying Raheem Mostert. And it's kind of, you know, Zach was saying DeAndre Swift start him, and I kind of jumped in there and I said, look, Philly's gonna want to control the ball. Miami, if it all goes according to my master plan in my head that Philly's got for a game plan, is Mostert's not going to get many opportunities with the ball, and hopefully they're in negative game scripts, so they won't be running it as much. So yeah, I'm going Mostert. Plus, Philly is a good defense. It might be one of the better besides Buffalo. Yeah,
I don't know. Hey,
might be the best defense they played this year.
Don't throw shade on my Lions here, boy. They went from the worst rushing defense in the NFL to the number one rushing defense in the NFL. So let's go. That's two of their 6 games they've held a team without a touchdown. So come on, Armin. Best defense in the NFL. Is this what it's been like your whole life, Zach, being a Pats fan, where like it's just like my team is good, and so suck on it? Like that's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
It's basically like being Lord Farquaad in Shrek. You're just kind of shaking that hand, like some of you may die.
Yeah, that's okay. Now David Montgomery's out. It's okay. We're just gonna keep going. Branch has been out. Oh, it's okay. We're just gonna keep going. We may never lose again.
The wheel never stops.
No, exactly. This is uncharted territory for me. Very much the opposite end of the spectrum here. So, my set of the week, I'm hyping up my Lions. I just said it. They are the number one rushing defense in the NFL right now, giving up the league least 8.5 fantasy points to the running back position. Now, this is going to be an interesting one because if you've watched the Baltimore Ravens recently, they look like one of the most dysfunctional offenses in the NFL. We already know that Lamar Jackson is the running / passing, not as periodically type running back, but his passing has looked very, very poor. And he has not been running the ball as much as he has in the past. Then you mix in the combination of Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Right now, Gus Edwards has not been great. His last couple starts, I know in week 2 against Cincinnati, he had a pretty good game, but since then it's been 5, 5, 4, and 5. I'm looking to sit Gus Edwards. I know, like I said, it's by apocalypse. You might be in a pinch where you need to start one of these running backs. But I mean, even Justice Hill, he's one of the guys that goes in for the goal line, and he's their more, third down type receiving back. So I would be very hard pressed to say I need to start Gus Edwards in a league. Even if your running backs are on bye week or hurt, there's got to be better options with more upside in this upcoming week in week 7 than Gus Edwards. So I'd be looking to sit him and trying to find some better options. Okay, here is our 100th episode fun time, I guess. And we threw around the idea of possibly doing like doing a mid-season what's it called, fantasy feud, where like we could do some like in-season fantasy questions and stuff like that, and give a little bit of fun. But not to mention that it's kind of hard to throw some of that stuff on social media last second while while season is on, to plan and prep and get it all ready to go. And it was just the time limit was gonna be difficult with the mid-season of stuff happening. But like I said, our very first game show we ever did in the pod was Guess Who. So I think it's only fitting that we do this. There's a bit of a theme. I'll throw that out to you before, but it is the throwback 100th episode, throwing it all the way back. So this is going to be a fun one here for these guys to try and figure out these Guess Who. I have 3 players, and we'll do it as a standard, let's do it as a standard wager. I don't know if you guys want to do a gentleman's wager, if you guys want to do a wager wheel, but this is one where you two will be playing and I will be just the game show host here. So I'll allow you two to decide that one.
Well, Zach, what do you want to do when you lose here?
Yeah, we could do we could either do a 6-pack or a 4-pack of your choosing, or we could just get around the next time we're together.
Either or, get around.
Hey, get around. I vote for that one because me as the host, I automatically get lumped in on that get around. So I vote that one. It's hard to get me a 4-pack, but I mean the get around, I'm definitely on that one. So
hey, just say the round is doubles or schooners.
Ooh, I like it. I'm in for it.
Well, then it has to be a Friday night at Dino's in Saskatoon. Triples for under $10, baby.
Yeah.
Fishbowl Friday.
Yeah. Hashtag not a sponsor. All right, so we are ready to go here. Standard scoring as per usual. You get 5 points if you get on the first guess, 4 points on the second, all the way down to 1 point on the last one, and 0 points if you don't guess it at all. But before we start, here's your chance at your giveaway. Get out there, get on our socials. I'm going to post the 100th episode cover a day before we actually go live with this episode, so I know it's up and running, so that way nobody's waiting for me. And what you're going to type into the comment section is 306 Fantasy Helps Sask Charities. So if you type that in there, it has to be something unique so people can't just guess and type something randomly in there. But if you got that code 306 Fantasy Helps Sask Charities, that is what will win you the 22 Fresh care package for the 100th episode. So get in there, get your chance to win. Now back to the game. So my first one here, we are going to go with, so you guys are ready to rock and roll here. The first clue is, I played for 7 seasons, or I have played, for 7 seasons, and I have 92 games played, 473 receptions, 6,032 all-purpose yards, with a total of 33 touchdowns. So a lot of math to throw at you.
Yeah, no kidding, Frick.
Hey, that was a pretty revealing first clue, though.
If you insist.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess by the looks on both of your faces that you would like another clue.
Yeah,
is this
please.
current player, or are you letting us know that?
They're all current. They're all still currently active players.
Right.
Question or hint number 2. I've played for the same team for all 7 seasons, but I've worn 2 different jersey numbers, number 12 and number 14.
All right.
Armin's really pondering here. These were times where I still wish we posted on YouTube. Armin, do you want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay, hint number 3. I'm a 1-time Pro Bowler as well as a 1-time Super Bowl champ.
I'm locking it. I'm sending it to you.
Okay.
I'm not very confident, but I'm a little confident.
It's a good guess, Armin, but I'm pretty sure he's worn the same number his entire career. And he's never worn 12 or 14, so.
Where am I smoking? I thought he was.
That's a good guess, though. That's a good guess. His number splits the difference. So that's what you're thinking. Zach, are you locking it in, or are you?
No idea.
Okay, number 4. I currently have a former 101 draft pick as my quarterback.
Okay.
Okay, are you going to make a guess, or you want me to give you the 5th one?
Just give me the 5th one.
I currently play in the NFC South.
Jiminy Cricket. That's not super helpful for me. Now I have to think. NFC South.
Okay, while you're thinking, I'll give you a second. I'll give you the whole recap. I've played for 7 seasons, and I've had 92 games, 473 receptions, 6,032 all-purpose yards with 33 tutties. I've played for the same team for my entire 7-year career, and I've worn 2 different jersey numbers, number 12 and number 14. I'm a 1-time Pro Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl champ. I currently have a former 101 quarterback drafted as my quarterback, and I currently play in the NFC South.
Okay, so in the NFC South, right?
Yep.
No, Googling, Zach.
Fuck, this would be
I know who
the
it is
toughest
now.
Google search ever.
There's a hefty wager here on the line, so
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to send it to you?
Yep.
All
Jordan,
right.
I think I was 1 off.
yeah, you had the right team, Armin.
Yeah. Frick.
You had the right team, and his jersey number split the difference of the other 2 jersey numbers. Did you send it, Zach? I didn't get it.
Oh, that is very clearly the wrong carrier. I'll have to apologize later.
It's like, why are you sending me the name of this guy that plays in the NFC South?
Yeah. I'm seeing him tomorrow. Be a funny story.
Hey, Zach, you got it right.
Yay!
So Armin guessed Mike Evans, which, like, from the 3rd one, he locked in pretty good. Like, you had the same team. You had everything locked except for he was number 13. I think he's always been number 13. And he's been in the season, I think, longer than 7 seasons. I think he's been in for 9 or 10 seasons. But Zach, you got that one right. Chris Godwin. He gave up number 12 for TB12, and that's when he went to number 14. So Chris Godwin was the first one. So Zach, you get 1 point.
Heck yeah.
Okay, 1-0. Player number 2. Are you ready? I started in the league in 2017, and I've played for the same team my entire career.
Oh, another same team player.
We want to take a guess? Okay. Hint number 2. I've been a 1,000-yard rusher 3 times in my career, and I have a total of 7,268 all-purpose yards in my career.
How many 1,000-yard seasons?
3.
3.
1,000-yard rusher 3 times with a total of 7,268 all-purpose yards. Another hint.
Yes, please.
This year, I only have 141 all-purpose yards.
I want to send it to you right meow.
Okay.
If I can spell his name. Jeez Louise.
Armin, do you want to take a shot too?
That's not even how you spell it. There we go.
Zach, good guess.
No, that's not very promising.
I wouldn't tell if you're right anyways.
Oh, okay.
So same team entire career.
Oh, shoot. Forgot about that one. We suck again.
So I can tell you, Zach, you're wrong. Sorry.
Yeah. 3,000-yard seasons, but barely any this year so far.
Okay, Armin, I'm going to hint number 4.
Okay.
In 2019, I had 19 touchdowns, but was not a Pro Bowler that year. The following year was my first and only Pro Bowl in 2020. Actually, hold on, let me check that. I gotta confirm that. I don't know if that was actually his only. Hold on, sorry. But regardless, he was a Pro Bowler in 2020.
I think I have it. Yeah, I'm sending it.
Okay. Yeah, he was only a one-time Pro Bowler. Armand, you guessed correctly. The final hint here was I play in the NFC North, and that is Aaron Jones.
For some reason, that 19 touchdowns in 2019 is burnt into my memory forever.
Well, because nobody thought he could redo it for how many years?
Yeah.
Because he had 19, I think he had 11 the following year, but was really good. But yeah, started in 2017, been a Packer his entire career, even though we were talking about him in free agent frenzy a couple times about possibly going to Miami or being a big ticket guy. 1,000-yard rusher 3 times, but gets a lot done in the receiving game as well for the yardage. This year he's only played 2 games, so 141 all-purpose yards makes sense. And a 2020 Pro Bowler. There you go. So Armin is up 2-1 with our last one left.
Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, here we go. Hint number 1. I started in the NFL in 2017 and have a total of 2,250 all-purpose yards.
Oh, that's pretty low considering the other guys we've had.
Yeah.
Okay. Hint number 2. I've played for 3 teams in my career and have worn the same number for all 3 teams. Number 81.
Oh.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, I think so.
My best season was in 2020 when I had 9 touchdowns. Need another? This next one might
I need you to walk me to the well on this one, I think.
Okay, this next one's a revealing hint. I'm currently not considered the number 1 at my position on my team, but I'm currently outscoring him.
I have it.
This season.
Sent.
Yeah, I'll send it to.
Do I get extra points for being the first one?
You don't, but
it doesn't matter.
You have to be right, I guess. And the final hint is I play in the NFC South, but previously played for the New England Patriots and the Tennessee Titans. Armand, you were right. Jonnu Smith. Woo! Armand wins 4-1. And so
yeah, baby.
He started in 2017. The common thread, I don't know if you guys picked up on this. These are all 3 names that we talked about big time on our very first episode. We talked about big ticket guys signing big contracts. Some went with different teams. Some stayed put. Aaron Jones and Chris Godwin were 2 that stayed put. Jonnu Smith signed that deal with New England after his 9 touchdown season in 2020. And that is when we started the pod. So these were all 3 names that we consumed a lot of our time in episode number 1. I was actually looking back, and I'm just going to take a second here to soak this one in. We talked about Dak getting his big contract, which is not looking so great right now for Dallas, even though actually they just won. So I'll take that back. But I mean, 4-2. Okay. Texans willing to let Watson sit out the 2021 season. A lot of information was released after this. Franchise tag Allen Robinson and Godwin, and then reconstruction of Big Ben's contract for 1 year. Talked about Kenny Golladay, like the guy that's no longer in the NFL. Kenny Golladay, signed jersey on my wall. We talked about Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake, Rob Gronkowski, Hunter Henry. He was in consideration for this one too. Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Alex Smith. Holy man, Tyrod Taylor. He just made a start here on Sunday Nighter. Tevin Coleman, Geez, some of these names: Marlon Mack, Duke Johnson, Todd Gurley, Golden Tate, Deshaun Jackson, Sammy Watkins, Keegan Cole, Tim Patrick, Nelson Aguilar.
Those were simpler times.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph. Oh boy, like we were really going back here. And it took us a little over 2 years. What are we on, our third year of the pod right now? So a little over 2 full years to hit episode 100, and we did it. So a little bit longer one, a little bit of fun game here to wrap things up. But any closing remarks here, fellas, as we wrap up the historic episode number 100?
Good game to Dave Zito, who just beat me because of the Monday Nighter. I was up 2 points. Eckler had a crappy game, who was my guy that I had left, and he had Pollard and Josh Palmer, who both pulled it out for him. So congrats, Dave Zito, on the win.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I can't believe you just admitted that out loud on the pod. But yeah, you got a big win here on the pod though, so I'll let it slide. 4-1 there, Armin. Good job. Zach, any closing remarks here for our episode?
No, just thanks for sticking around. If you've been a day one, or like me, like a day 4 listener.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. We'll continue to make some adjustments on the go here, and it's been really well. I still think personally, like obviously that's been fun. Every week we get a chance to, BS and visit and talk about fantasy, and it's a lot of fun. At sometimes it seems like, hey, when I'm sick or in the heart of football season, it's hard to get this episode rolling. It feels like, but my favorite is still when we get together for that Super Bowl party. That is one of my favorite times of the year, getting together and slugging a lot of money together for charity, and good food, have some drinks, and watch a good football game. That's one of my favorites. So I know there's been a lot of people that are day one listeners that have been to both Super Bowl parties as well too. So it's awesome. It's been fun. It's been a good tradition, and hopefully we keep the podcast rolling for another 100 episodes, and hopefully a handful more Super Bowls to go. So thanks for listening to episode number 100 of the Fantasy Football Podcast, and good luck in your Week 7 matchups coming up here. Thank you, everybody, on behalf of Zach, Armin, Lucas, and myself. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk soon.